Hey, David. How are you? Welcome back to the show.
Doing well, Ian. Happy to be here.
Hey, so are you ready for another episode of Inspection News?
I am riveted. I don't know. Is that the right word to use?
I think so. I don't know. You're asking the wrong guy.
Yeah. I'm not from this country, so I shouldn't be asking you.
Well, you know what I'm excited about, though?
No?
Not about that, but more about my microphone being fixed. Last few podcast episodes, I don't know, something had been going wrong, and apparently my webcam was actually messing up my microphone. So I'm glad to have that all fixed, because now you can hear me a little bit better. I don't know if that's a good thing, though.
And that microphone hides your goatee really well, too.
No goatee, but it does take up a lot of space. This is a large microphone. When I first got it, it had all these great ratings. You had recommended it to me. And it was just, I opened up, I'm like, this thing is ginormous. It's like the size of my head. It better sound good for the size of it is. But anyways, here we are. So with inspection news, we just like to keep everybody updated on what's going on in the market. Whether it happens to be real estate related, how it affects us as home inspectors, to what's actually directly affecting us in our industry. And today we actually have a couple of bits of news that are very much affecting us. And I don't want to come off as saying I told you so, but this is actually something that I had been warning our industry about for a long time, and this is the beginnings of it. And me and you were talking about this before the show, that Inspectify, so first of all, if you work with Inspectify, we're not calling you evil, and we're not calling Inspectify evil or anything like that. This is just the information and basically our perception of it. But Inspectify actually sent out a notification, and I have a copy of the email that they sent out. It says, I am contacting you today about a change to Inspectify's pricing structure in California. Beginning May 8th, all full home inspections in the state of California will move to Inspectify set pricing. The email kind of goes on and talks about how the pricing works, and apparently that was released May 8th. I haven't been able to find any information on what that set pricing is. I actually emailed Inspectify and asked them, what's the set pricing, but they haven't responded. So that opens up a whole can of worms. Now, at first glance, it's like, all right, as long as it's high enough. Here's my problem with it, though, David. Anytime you have a company that has that many inspectors working with them setting prices, they set prices for all of us to an extent. So if you look on the Inspectify website, right on the About Us page, it's inspectify.com/company/about-us. So it says they have 2,000 plus home inspectors. Now our industry is made up of about 30,000 home inspectors, but only about 20,000 of us are actually active. Like I would say at least, 50 to 100 inspections a year. So that means about 10% of the active industry works with Inspectify. So here's where my worry comes in. So if you're an inspector out in California, you charge $750 for a home inspection. But now you're one of X amount of home inspectors in an area, and 20 of them are Inspectify guys. So now, what if they're at $650? How are you going to be that far above what most of the other inspectors are in your area if they're all Inspectify guys? So now they've actually set a market standard for us. They're controlling our prices to an extent. And I say, I told you so, not to sound like a jerk, but this is what happened to the appraisal industry. This is what I've been worried about for years. Appraisers, they have a set amount by a management company. That's how it works. Management company takes X amount of dollars, and then they pay their guy X amount of dollars. Now they do twice as much work for half the pay. And that's why there's actually an appraiser shortage. A lot of them are getting into the home inspection industry because management companies are just destroying them. Yeah. So that's what I've worried about for a long time. What are your thoughts, David? Am I being too over the top?
We're not saying it's evil, but we might insert some Empire March right here from Star Wars. No,
Is that the impression we're giving? Inspectify. They are not your father.
Resistance is... Oh, wait. That's
No, that's the Borg. Come on, get your nerd genre right, man.
Yeah. Now, I see the concern, and just like you said, whenever you have a large company managing the prices for a big section of the industry, that is, definitely going to impact even the inspectors that aren't members. So we got to see how it turns out.
Yeah, and we're not saying if you work with Inspectify that you're evil for supporting the machine. We're all making a living, but it's interesting. Inspectify is bigger in some areas than they are in others. Kind of like the Northeast. You'll get some bits and pieces of Inspectify out here, but not nearly as much as you would in California. California is where they're really, really dense with Inspectify inspectors, and Texas, from what I understand as well. But that affects all of us even here on the East Coast. So, for instance, just as an example, New Hampshire and New York have been some of the biggest places over the past year where people from California are moving to. I have lots of friends. I was sitting around a campfire not long ago, and everybody there except 2 people were from California. And they're like, yeah, well, I think I mentioned this on another podcast, but an agent I know, she's from California. 2 agents I know are from California. People are moving here from there.
Mm-hmm.
So now, if they move from there to here, what kind of pricing is Inspectify setting? Because now they set a standard in those people's minds. Both the agents that move in, well, this is how much a home inspection should cost. This is how much it costs in my area. Buyers moving in, well, this is how much it cost when I bought out in California. So nationally, they're affecting prices, but really I'm concerned more about California because, man, that has a deep effect on you guys out there in California.
Yeah. I mean, you can understand, there's some security, some convenience in having that support. So you can see why it's an easy sell for Inspectify to get, home inspectors to hop on the ship. But they might not have expected this to be coming in the future. Maybe some people expected it and are saying, I told you so now, but overall.
Are you calling me a jerk, David?
No. I wouldn't dream of it.
I guess my concern is when you look at it from an outward perspective, they're not doing anything evil. They're running business. They're changing an industry. But when you look at the industry within, you are changing an industry. You're changing our lives, very directly affecting our businesses. And we were the ones who fed the beast. We tend to feed the beast. Whenever an industry goes under, we tend to feed the beast. And I'm saying we're going under, but that's what's happened in the past. So giving a management company any kind of power, in my opinion, I'm getting on my high horse here because I get a little fired up. It takes away from the individuality of the industry. So now the other issue I have with that is the quality of inspections for the industry. So right now, if you're an Inspectify guy, you can say, I charge this much money and this is what I want, and I'm going to do this kind of inspection. All right, cool. Now, what if they say you're going to get $150 less? You're like, well, okay, well, I'm not going to work for that. So it's the same thing with licensing. Licensing tends to push some of the guys that are really good, awesome inspectors out of the industry. Because now you get a flood of guys that say, hey, that guy who's been inspecting houses for 30 years, I have the same qualifications as him, even though I've never done one. And that's true. You have the same piece of paper, the same license. So now I charge $300 and he charges $550. Eventually that guy's going to be like, I'm not going to charge $300. I'll find something else to do. They go into commercial inspections or something else. I find that it's the same thing with appraisers. Like everybody's like, it's hard to find a good appraiser. I'm like, well, yeah, you got to pay them well. Anybody who is worth their weight, worth their salt, or however, I don't,
or pepper,
or pepper. I don't know how those expressions work. They're not going to work for those set amounts a lot of the time. So it takes away the value to the client and the ability of us to be able to say, I offer a better inspection. I charge more. And everybody's like, yeah, but no, they all charge the same.
Yeah. I mean, in a way, I guess it's similar to the Walmart effect. I mean,
Yeah.
they chased out all the small companies, the mom and pop stores, because they cost more to, buy your books or whatever. And then you kind of lose the right to complain when you go into Walmart and you think it's a terrible place to be.
Yeah.
But that's all that's left.
I think that's a fantastic illustration, and I often pick on McDonald's, but I don't know if I've ever told the story on this podcast, but there was a really great gourmet burger place near where we like to hang out, and man, they just had amazing burgers. On our way around there one day, we told some friends about it, and someone in the back said, "Oh man, they're expensive." It was like $17 for a gourmet burger. When I say gourmet, these are like New York City burgers in upstate New York where cows outnumber people. I'm like, why are you guys even here? They couldn't get enough. Yeah, exactly. Easier to get to the cow. But they eventually went out of business because people are like, oh, that's expensive. But it was a perceived value, because you go to McDonald's now and the whole thing was, oh, it was cheap. And then their overhead increased. And you know what? It cost a lot. It's like $15 by the time you get a value meal and you want a side of 6 chicken nuggets, and then you end up feeling like garbage after you eat it. I'm like, that's $2 off from a gourmet burger. And people are like, oh, that's so expensive going for a gourmet burger. I see the same kind of thing happening. I'm just re-illustrating what you already illustrated. Is now that's what people expect, and now that's all that's there.
Mm-hmm.
So if you want a great inspector, you're going to have to find a great inspector who's willing to work for those prices. Back in the 90s, average home inspection fee was like $350-ish. Now it's finally gotten up. 2 years ago, we did our "We're Not Charging Enough" episode, and it was around $350. Now it's a little over $400. Yay! But that's barely keeping up with inflation, in my opinion.
Yeah.
It's around like $425, $440, somewhere in that range for the average home inspection. But that's just keeping up with inflation, barely. So it was already on a downward trend, and now you have management companies changing the price. So I'm not going to harp on that much longer.
Yeah.
It does bother me. Here's another piece. A home inspector sent me or posted it in a group or something somewhere. If you go to Inspectify.pro, so not .com, .pro, there's an Inspectify home inspection company, or at least that's what it appears to be, in Dallas-Fort Worth. So I'm looking at the 3 guys right now, and if you're listening to this podcast, hi, first of all. Thanks for listening in. Second of all, how does this work? Is Inspectify not only setting prices and having inspectors work with them, but then creating their own company to compete with the inspectors that are supporting that company? You know what I mean? So it's like I work, say hypothetically, I worked for Inspectify, and they're like, oh, this is working out great. We're going to start our own company to compete with Ian. It's like, oh, okay. So you got your own inspection company now after I kind of supported you and helped build you up.
Yeah, I'm starting a competing podcast.
Yeah, exactly. David's starting his own podcast, and he's going to call it David Toolbelt Talk.
Yeah, Swedish Toolbelt Talk.
Swedish Tool. It's all just going to be the Swedish chef talking into the microphone. Oh, man. We just took a turn. Anyways.
Back on track.
Back on track. So, this just has me concerned. That's all I'm saying. So, I'm not saying they're evil. I'm not saying anybody who works with them or for them is evil. They're running a business. Am I saying this is not good for our industry as a whole? In my opinion, very much so. This is the beginning of what has brought down other industries. Inspectify filled a gap that didn't need to be filled, but could be. You know what I mean? Think about it. But I was hoping for a more fired discussion. It's like, do we not see the forest fire building in the distance? We can see smoke. And everybody goes, oh man, there's smoke. And then there wasn't any more, about
Ian's making a big fuss about it.
I know. I'm making a big fuss, everybody. Come on, fuss with me. So, anyways, let's move on to some lighter inspection news here. Well, first of all, let's talk about, we'll give a plug for our home inspection app, Inspector Toolbelt. So we've had some new features come out. We had our RLG, Repair List Generator, TM. So
is it actually TM?
That makes it a legal TM. I don't know.
Oh, okay. TM pending.
TM pending. But a repair list generator, you can turn that on in our app, or you can turn it off if you don't want to use it. It allows people to create a repair list from your report. Agents can use it and clients can use it. It's not giving cost estimates. It's just saying, okay, we want X amount of dollars for the bad roof in the report. Generates another report. Works really well. It's been really popular. Also, too, if you want, you can download an office presentation for it. You can submit it. We'll add our team. We'll put your logo on it, adjust it to your colors. We have an amazing graphic artist on our team, Kim. She'll be happy to take care of that for you. What other Inspector Toolbelt bits can we throw in there, David?
We do have a few things pending on the horizon. Some of them, under some kind of wraps, because we don't want to give away our trade secrets too early. But there are some exciting things, both for generating more revenue as an inspector, and also to give more control over the data that inspectors have access to.
Yep. So take back our industry is our mantra here at Inspector Toolbelt. Give you, the inspector, the control. Give you, the inspector, the revenue. And that's one of our integrations coming up here is going to give you an opportunity for that. You can use it or not. That's all part of our you take control. Where your data goes is up to you. Then we also have a partnership that's coming up. I really wish I could talk about it because I'm super excited. I love those guys over there, but it's another home inspection software. Dun, dun, dun. And we're going to be doing some work with them. And they are very much on track for the Take Back Our Industry aspect of what we're doing here. So we're very, very excited to work with them. Everybody, you can just kind of sit there and guess and think. I'm not going to tell you. You can message me, but I won't tell you. But that's coming out soon. But for other news, I thought this was interesting. I wanted to talk about the real estate market as a whole, how it affects us as home inspectors. I tend to try to listen to only the really authoritative people and organizations when it comes to the real estate market, because there's a lot of subjective information out there. Mm-hmm. So this one is from National Association of Realtors. So they've been talking about how kind of basically what the feds are trying to do with interest rates is actually kind of backfiring on them a little bit. So just to give a brief overview, when the housing market gets too hot, to prevent a bubble from happening, feds raise interest rates. So then people are like, those interest rates are too high for us, so 10, 20% of people fall out of the buying market. And that's hypothetically supposed to level it out. The problem is, a large chunk of what our industry is going through is inventory. There's not enough houses on the market. So the way to curb that is either people just need to move for some reason, or you build new houses. So the problem is builders are like, yeah, we'd love to build, but with interest rates so high, people are waiting for them to come down so we can build new houses. So the cure for the problem is causing the problem right now. I thought it was an interesting concept. People don't move when they have a low interest rate and they're happy with where they are and they can't find something better. So right now, people refinanced during the pandemic and they have stupid low interest rates. So if you're sitting on 20 years out of a 30-year mortgage with 3.1% interest and there's nothing on the market, you're not moving. Mm-hmm. We need to put new stuff on the market to get people to move. But lowering the interest rates is also going to compound that problem.
I have friends actually that have been talking about that. They can't find houses for a price that they can afford. Because there's just not enough out there, so prices get hiked up. Yeah,
and it's because of an inventory issue. It's if there's 5 diamonds and 20 people that want to buy diamonds, those diamonds become really, really valuable. So we just need more houses out there is what it comes down to. Lowering interest. I said this with Dion on our quarterly report that we do. I don't think it's so much interest rate related anymore. Because if you lower it, you have the same problem just in reverse. If you raise interest rates, now you just don't have any new inventory. So it's a compounding issue. Where the housing market is doing well is typically going to be in not luxury housing, but more expensive housing, where those people don't really care about their interest rate as much. It's like, oh, this is only $1.2 million. Yeah, I'll do this as my home that I live in August, and then I'll move to my September home. But the average American family, like you said, they're going to run into problems like we can't afford a house.
Mm-hmm.
I watched a smaller. I say smaller. It was 1,500 square foot, so average size house. Go on the market for nearly double what it would have 6 years ago.
Wow.
No joke. It was. I did the calculations, and I don't have them with me right now, but it was a little over double of what it would have gone for just 5-6 years ago. And I'm like, man, and they're going to get it. They're really going to get it. It already actually said this house has had a lot of views, and people are already scheduling showings, and I'm like, yeah, they're going to get that. But how do you keep up with that?
Yeah.
Just 5, 6, 7 years.
Literally, I live in a rural area. I mean, it's only 2 hours from the city, so it's a lot of commuters. But there's a burnt out shell of a house that is basically going to need to be torn down and rebuilt with one kitchen, kitchen and a bedroom. That's basically it, and they want $75,000 for it.
Hey, that's a good deal.
Yeah.
What's the address? Everybody listening might want to hop on that.
Yeah, I'll find it.
Yeah.
I'll put it in our transcript later.
Yeah, there you go.
Great investment for the future.
Yeah, exactly. If you need a kitchen and 1 bedroom, yeah, no bathroom.
Oh, it's probably a bathroom in there too. Well, the way it looks right now, basically the whole thing could be a bathroom.
But yeah, it is crazy. I'm seeing pieces of land go for what that land with a house on it would have gone for. It's nutty out there. So if we're thinking, hey, why is it so slow right now? It's probably very regionally depending on your market, but it's just an inventory thing. It's not a matter of, hey, I'm not a good inspector or not. There's no houses to inspect. There's no houses to inspect.
Yeah. A few of the inspectors that I've been doing trainings with have mentioned that they have gotten a lot of new build inspections lately. So it seems like there is a trend, at least in some areas.
Yeah, so that's actually a good point. So while interest rates are stifling building a bit, there's actually building that's picking up because people are starting to want to move no matter what, and the only way you can get the house you want now is to build it. Mm-hmm. So if people have the money for that, they're just building it, which is probably an explanation why land is becoming a little bit more expansive in certain areas. But
yeah.
So that's what we have for our inspection news so far. Do you have anything to add, David?
No, nothing exciting. Got my family visiting in September, but that's not really home inspection news.
I didn't ask for just any news.
Oh, okay, sorry. It's exciting to me.
There you go. I'm glad for you. I have news. My chair is uncomfortable.
Oh no, mine is very comfortable.
How did Michael Scott say it? It's still an announcement. You just don't care about the information.
Yeah, very true.
So everybody, thanks for listening in, and stay tuned for the next episode of Inspector Toolbelt Talk, and the next time we have the segment, Inspection News.
Thank you, Ian.
Thanks, David.